Listen carefully, because this story will only make sense if you stay with me till the very end. I guarantee you, by the last moment, you'll realize this is not just about cars. It's about survival, sacrifice, and chasing passion even when the world tries to crush it. For years, people tuned in to watch Full Custom Garage, thinking they were seeing Ian Roussel living his dream, turning metal into magic. But what the cameras didn't show was the brutal reality. 13-hour filming days under desert heat that touched 115 degrees, collapsing from exhaustion, and scripts that drained his real creativity into fake, staged moments. Slowly, the man who loved building machines was being turned into one himself, just another cog in the TV production machine. But before all of that, before the bright lights and forced storylines, there was a kid born on November 19th, 1970, in Sunland, California. Even his beginning was unusual. Hospital records marked him 1970, but his driver's license later said 1971 because of a clerical mess caused by the Sylmar earthquake. Fan pages still argue about his real age, but Ian just laughs. Every year, I'm either 54 or 55. It keeps me young. From the start, destiny shaped him differently. His father, Jerry, worked at Lockheed Skunk Works and turned their garage into a workshop at night. By 8 years old, Ian was already cutting aircraft aluminum scraps into panels for homemade go-karts. By 10, he could gap spark plugs and read cam lift tables like an expert. His dad had one rule: build first, drive later. And together, they restored a $75 Chevy Nomad, welding bomber sheet metal into its floor. That same wagon still sits in Ian's Mojave shop, a reminder of where it all began. By the time Ian graduated high school in 1989, he was already living like a builder, not a student. While others wore caps and gowns, he rolled up with his half-finished 1929 Ford Model A pickup, raw metal shining and bright orange wheels catching every eye. The principal had warned him not to bring it, but Ian didn't care. His GPA was just average, a 2.7, yet in the school's metal fabrication final, he scored the highest grade ever recorded, 98 out of 100. The only 2 points lost. His report was hand-drawn instead of typed. That car, built from 11 donor vehicles and only $612 in parts, ended up in Rod and Custom Magazine's 1990 Young Guns issue. College could have been an option, but Ian turned down a drafting scholarship with a simple reason: college can't weld. By then, he had already logged more than 3,000 hours in the garage, his mom Donna carefully preserving every project in photo binders. Those binders would later become the storyboard for the first season of Full Custom Garage. Ian's childhood was unusual. Instead of toys, he got tools. At 12, a stick welder. At 15, a used English wheel. At 9, he even carved a 4-foot replica of a Ford grill out of foam and fiberglass just to study its shape. Cars to him weren't just machines, they were sculptures. He often forgot steering wheels in his mock-ups because movement didn't matter, design did. By his late teens, he wasn't just learning. He was already creating on a level beyond most adults in the industry. So when his classmates went off to college, Ian jumped straight into Southern California's car scene, building by day with legends like Boyd Coddington and Jesse James, and by night in his own tiny shop. At just 22, Ian did what most builders twice his age were still dreaming about. He opened his own shop. It was small, barely enough space to work, but it was his. He had saved money from small jobs and show winnings, and with a little help from family, he stocked it with the basic tools. While others plastered ads and bought magazine space, Ian kept things simple. No marketing, no slogans, just one promise: I'll build anything. And that word spread fast. When other shops turned away unusual requests, Ian said yes. He welded Cadillac parts onto Ford frames, built space-age bumpers, and hand-formed aluminum windshields. Soon, his shop wasn't just a workplace. It became a spectacle. People parked outside just to watch him work. Traditionalists were divided. Some admired his boldness, calling his creations punk rock hot rods. Others claimed he was destroying perfectly good cars. But Ian didn't care about approval. He wasn't chasing tradition, he was chasing originality. And that fearless attitude is what eventually caught the eyes of producers and collectors worldwide. Still, survival wasn't easy. At one point, Ian slept on a couch inside the shop, living on ramen, determined to keep building. The turning point came in the mid-90s at a Las Vegas car show. He almost didn't finish his rat rod due to budget problems, but he pushed through. That one car caught the attention of a documentary crew. The film Back from the Dead showcased his build, and suddenly collectors were calling. In 2005, everything changed again. His radical build at another Vegas show didn't just stand out, it dominated. From that moment, Ian was no longer just a garage builder. His name shot onto the Cadis report, ranking among the top custom builders in America. From that point on, Ian's world exploded. His builds were no longer confined to U.S. streets. Collectors in Japan, Germany, and the Netherlands began importing his creations, packing them in crates like priceless treasures. Few solo builders ever reached that level without big corporate backing, but Ian had done it through raw talent and relentless work. Then came the big break he never even sought: television. Back in 2003, he had mailed out a simple DVD, just clips of his builds for a trade show booth. Somehow, it landed in the hands of TV producers. They saw something raw and different. No gimmicks, no fake smiles, just Ian, fire, and metal. After years of delays, pilots, and rewrites, Full Custom Garage finally premiered on MAVTV in March 2014. Unlike other reality shows filled with drama and stage deadlines, Ian's series focused on the craft itself: the welding, the grinding, the impossible designs. Viewers felt the difference. One unforgettable episode showed him building a chopper trike from scratch, something he dreamed of since childhood. It proved he wasn't locked into one lane. He could build anything. Over 10 years, Full Custom Garage aired more than 90 episodes. Fans loved the Packard lead sled he built for his friend Tom, a car most people thought was impossible to shape. Another favorite was his electric dune buggy, made from a forklift motor years before electric builds became trendy. Even a rusted vintage bus became a rolling workshop under his hands, complete with hidden storage and fold-out benches. But behind the applause and camera lights, the desert took its toll. Filming in 115 degrees heat, endless takes, and pressure from producers drained the joy. What started as passion was slowly being scripted into repetition, and Ian knew something had to change. As the years rolled on, Ian realized that the TV world was beginning to box him in. What started as raw creativity was being trimmed to fit runtimes, sponsor demands, and formulaic episodes. His soul wasn't in it anymore. He didn't want to build cars just for ratings. He wanted to build because it burned inside him. And so, after nearly a decade on air, he made the tough call to step away from Full Custom Garage. Walking away from TV didn't mean walking away from the craft. Instead, Ian poured himself back into the shop, where there were no producers or staged deadlines. Just him, the sparks, and the sound of a grinder cutting into steel. His builds became wilder, freer, and more personal. From futuristic concept hot rods to rat rods that looked pulled out of a Mad Max wasteland, he created without limits. Fans stayed loyal. They followed him on YouTube, Instagram, and live car shows across the U.S. People wanted the real Ian, not the edited-for-TV version. In every city he visited, lines formed, not just to see the cars but to shake hands with the man who built them with nothing but vision and bare hands. What makes Ian's story so compelling isn't just the cars. It's the refusal to compromise, the decision to stay authentic in an industry that often sells out. He showed the world that you don't need a giant factory, a reality show script, or endless sponsors to make a mark. You need grit, patience, and the guts to stay true to your craft. And that's why, even today, people say, if you want to see what raw creativity on four wheels looks like, just follow Ian Roussel. The legend never stopped.